I just finished my attempt of my second year of college, and um, there was just like a series of like unfortunate events that occurred that kept pushing me to be alone, be alone, be alone. And it's not that I didn't like to be alone. I just wasn't doing it because I was in school. I was living with my best friend. I had a boyfriend at the time. Um, I had roommates too. Like so many things, so many people in my vortex. So when it was like the universe was just pushing things out of my way. Like, oh, you don't need a car. Actually, you need, so like crash my car, all of these things. My world was revolved around my boyfriend and my best friends, and it all kind of just went away in an instant, based on uh, me using my intuition for the first time. So I just started, my spirit started revealing itself slowly but surely, and then by the time I started really getting it, I was on my way to Oakland to live in West Oakland, and that changed my life. So having my own room, having a broken heart, having all of these things added up to me getting to know myself and being by myself for a second, and that's where my journey really began. Before that, I was so asleep. I was just a kid, and no shade to that version of me, but I had to wake up, and so the universe made that possible. Thank God. So I ended up um, on my journey to getting to know myself. How was I going to heal? Because um, nobody's here right now. At that moment, I had dropped off all my friends, um, like I was supposed to, because the real ones came back. But um, I had to be alone, and I was okay with it. There was like this dark side of me that was like, this pain is like the thing that's gonna really save my life, and it did. I couldn't wait till I didn't have to feel it anymore, but I was definitely getting into um, giving myself the love that I needed. Nobody else was gonna do it. I was by myself with that. So super grateful for that broken heart. Super grateful for all the signs that I listened to, and that's how I started my journey.
I feel like a lot of women can agree that the journey of ourself kind of came into like smacked us on the face like after a heartbreak. And what were some and I'm wondering like what were some revelations of yourself that came up in that break?
Um, well, first of all, that I'm psychic. That was like one of those things where I was like, wait, did I make it up or not? I was I was like a teen witch, you know what I mean? I didn't know what to do with my powers. They were spewing. And I think the people around me were kind of like, she's weird. But in reality, I was just growing into who I truly am. So, um, what was the question again, actually?
Yeah, no, that was
Oh,
the what you learned about yourself in that moment of your identity.
yeah, I got into like just my intuition in general, and started gaining confidence in that because everything around me was kind of going against it. Like, oh, she's crazy. Why she made that up? Or like, I had a really specific thing to focus my powers on, because it's all like my world was centered around, like I said, like the people that were in front of my face. So I was I was betrayed in like one of the very storybook classic ways, and the way that I made it up was just so wild because I stuck to my story. And next thing I know, months and months and months and months and months and months later, my best friends are pulling up all the way to West Oakland to tell me, hey, so and so told us what happened. I'm really sorry we didn't believe you. And I'm like, they told you what? They're like, you're the one who said it first. And I'm like, I made that whole thing up. But then that gave me the confidence to all the other things that I was making up, like even
Mm.
down to even down to my imagination. Like, if all these creatures that I um, embody, you know what I mean? I was like just thinking I was just, this fairy cat mermaid princess, but in reality I am. And that was another thing that helped me just helped me gain confidence in my imagination, period, because I've started bringing my imagination into my real life by just simply knowing that um, everything I thought of was real and true. And then I started living in that state of mind, and my life changed. So yeah, it was just about all about my imagination and the things that I supposedly made up to be real. That helped me gain the confidence in all of my superpowers, which I'm still working on today.
So someone just asked that I thought was a good question to follow up, because for those of us, like, I feel like even after maybe some of us haven't received this moment of like breakthrough of our self-confidence, and a breakup is, it's a breakup for somebody, for others it's a life circumstance that happens where we just decide to like love ourselves and be in ourselves. But someone asked the question is like, how do you have self-love and handle insecurity, particularly when dating someone who co-parents? But I think that could be like relevant to everyone, whether or
Right.
not it's a co-parenting situation. Like, how do you deal with self-love and then that side of insecurity that's always like creeping up?
Um, I highly suggest a practice that I was just talking about earlier. If you feel insecure about someone or someone's situation that you have no control over, send love to that person that's invading your space. You know what I mean? And see what happens. It's like the last thing you want to do is the last thing that your brain wants to conjure up in words is, "I love you, so and so." But if you can do that, I think that's one way to help, because you're sending love to yourself when you love someone else. So I think it's more potent when you feel that sense of hatred or jealousy or insecurity. They're all really powerful feelings. So if you can just take that intensity and put it into something good, then that's a good practice. And you're not going to be perfect, but that's what's helped me in the past. Just sending that person love, because if you don't have any facts that's making you insecure, it's just you have the power to fix what you have the power to fix, and hopefully you have a partner that understands. I would also suggest to, don't like tell on yourself if you don't have to, but sometimes it's nice to be like, hey, this makes me uncomfortable. um if you're with your person and it's really your person, they'll be able to work with you with that. Maybe there's certain things that you guys never talked about, that feeling was just knocking at your door to get you guys to communicate about something. Because if it's
Mm-hmm.
really your person, you're not being disrespected. And if it's not your person, then maybe your intuition is trying to tell you something. So, in either way, your person or not, in the end, like, it's your person for now for many reasons. So, like, learn what you need to learn through them.
So where did you learn like that, where did you learn that balance of like appreciating somebody in your life for that moment?
For which
Or have
moment?
you just appreciating, because when I hear that I'm like, oh, she really values relationships and what relationships give to you. Was that something that was always instilled in you, or is that something that you learned through
How to
moments in life?
Honestly, I think me and my best friends talk about this a lot. There's so many people in the world that didn't grow up with siblings, and if they did, maybe they didn't have a healthy relationship with them. But thank God for my childhood practice on how to just, I just got the code inside of me, so it's automatic for me. And when me and my friends get together, it's just like we just know the do's and don'ts of how to maintain a healthy relationship, because we've been with each other for so long. I don't know if it's paused or not, but it's paused. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Um, Hold on. Can
I
you hear
wonder,
me?
can people see us both? Yeah, I can hear you. I wonder if it's like,
Okay, okay. Oh, I think it might be okay. Let me. What I was gonna say
wait,
is I
now
I'm
you're frozen.
now I'm frozen. Hold
Yeah.
on. Can you hear me now?
Oh, we can see and hear you. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep. There's a certain thing that comes with putting in work and time for your relationships. Like I've been like blessed enough to have all my best friends from when I was a baby, and my sisters are my best friends. So I think that that's really been good practice to be able to know how to, you know, keep a relationship going. I don't get worked up about things that don't matter in my friendships, and we don't fight. You know what I mean? I might fight with my sisters. If you live with somebody, you're gonna fight, but um, it could be so simple, you know, when you eliminate all the bullshit. To be honest, and just I I I don't know. We just have it instilled in us to know how to keep that relationship going. I'm a big sister, so I don't have a choice, you know.
Right.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, so
It's,
tell us a little more about like what your friendships look like. Like how would you describe your friendships?
as perfect as can be, truly. I sound like a brat because I know a lot of people don't have the opportunity to have such good friendships, but I think that it's something that I want to be able to take with me and inspire other people to just be able to have. Our relationship is just silly, honestly. We're idiots, you know. We have so much fun together. We don't argue. We understand each other. We can see through. We know each other well enough to be able to see through all different perspectives. We don't. We just. It's just next level. It's automatic. That's all I can say. It's completely automatic. Me and my sister is completely automatic. We are in each other's heads. We read each other's minds. We complete each other's sentences. It's truly a dream come true, and it's because spot on the exact same, and that matters.
Especially in like nowadays and especially in the music industry, like where things can get competitive or one person has to shine. Like it's really, I feel like someone said rare and special. It's really rare and special to see like a shared, not just like a shared like spotlight, but like you're literally thinking of your friends when you're making music.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sometimes I forget that they care, not because they don't show that they care, but because we're all caught up in our lives. And I'll just have to remind myself by making a song and like sending it straight to them and remembering that they're my number one fans. And that's always a blessing too, because we can get really caught up in our art and just
Mhm.
listen to it in our car and just duck it off or feel like I don't want to bother them, or like I don't, you know, I can get like that sometimes. And it's nice to be able to have that support system where, you know, you send it in there immediately, like, can you add this song on there, because I haven't heard that in a while. I'm like, you remember that? Okay.
Right.
You know, like
Mm.
it's I love it. It really helps.
That makes me think like because before you came on, I was just talking about how people who are really about their passions and wanting their gifts to spread across the world, like they like you often hear like, well, I'm trying to do me, so let me put like relationships or friendships or partnerships at like a priority list. But like listening to you, it all like adds on together. And even when I like see your stories, like sometimes you're in the studio, but sometimes it seems like you're like weeks at your mom's house just chilling with her, and just doing things
Yeah,
that make like we didn't even get to your relationship with your cats, but like you really spend time with
right.
them.
It's true, and I've just chosen to not beat myself up about like working so hard. It's about the quality of my work. So I make better music when I'm inspired and when I'm charged up with like being at my mom's for a weekend and doing absolutely nothing but like, you know, just being with her and having conversations. I feel like my mind and my creativity is really fueled by in-depth conversations. Like if I go to the studio and meet someone for the first time that I maybe like is a new producer or something, if we get into like a weird ass conversation that lasts like half of the session, I'm gonna make a fire song after, you know. So I
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy the balance of not beating myself up when I feel like I'm not working hard enough, because as a creator, my work is being the journalist to my life. So I have to have experiences. And I don't make music for other people. I make it for myself, and I invite everyone, of course, like I said, but I have to heal myself first, like no
Right.
matter what. So um, yeah, I don't put too much stress on anything. I'm just like, look, if I feel I everything's based on a feeling, and obviously that can get a little irresponsible. So I try to balance my responsibilities with that. But for the most part, if I'm like happy and enjoying my relationships, I want to be completely present in that and go write a song later. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Um, but when a song comes to me, I do have to do it right then and there. But it takes
right.
sometimes, like when I just don't feel like it, it's okay too, you know. So
Right.
yeah, charging up, going to my mom's and laying in her lap and watching movies. I'm not about to like beat myself up about that time being wasted, because it wasn't wasted. I'm gonna end up so inspired, you know. And I need inspiration. It's how I survive. So try to soak up my happy times, my sad times, all that.
Right. So that leads us to our last topic of questions. Probably just, I think what a lot of people get curious about is your relationship, particularly with Bear, and as your person and being the woman that you are, and having this full balance. Yeah, just what was it like for someone like you who's so independent and like has their world getting into a relationship, period?
Good, good point in question. He's my best friend, and so off top, that helps everything, because I've always been curious about people who were like friends for years and years and years, and he was somebody that was always in front of me, but we never pressed the issue because we enjoyed our friendship so much. And when I think it's like a video game. Like we gained enough tools separately in our separate lives, um, to gain access to each other in that way. We always had each other. We were always there, but I had to do my work and he had to do his work, and we're always having to do our work. But I think that we reached a level where um, it could actually get done the right way. So I went through something. I think we both definitely like had gone through what we needed to go through to kind of uh, gain this key that like I opened the door. I'm like, oh, I got a key from the sky. What's in here? And it was him the whole time. So um,
Mm,
it was really cool to be able to experience. I mean, every day it's really cool to experience what it's like to be with my actual best friend that was truly, truly a friend for years and years. Because that's also rare and crazy. And sometimes I have to just be like, this is a fantasy unreal, but it is real. And I can just accept that and not throw in any drama or any like negativity, and just be in it and be grateful that it's my real life. Because I feel like throughout lifetimes you kind of gain different tools, blah blah blah, and I think that this is the lifetime that I kind of grabbed all of my favorite things and put it into one. And it's okay to have that. I don't have to feel like I have to give something up to get that, because you know, maybe someone's less fortunate than that. It's just like everyone's on their own path, and I happen to be on the one where I'm living my real life dreams. It's so crazy, but we're just friends. We're best friends, and once we were able to like take it to the next level, it was just natural, because you know he was always my person. So
and it makes me, it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier about imagination and how your imagination leads kind of you to reimagine yourself, reimagine other people around you, reimagine your sisters, your friends, and your partner. And that imagination is so powerful. And I feel like it's easy to get lost in the present moment, but your imagination becomes your reality because you always just stay on the vision of like love and purity. What how would you what are some like practical things like that help your relationship maintain healthy boundaries where you don't, lose yourself or
Say
he
that again.
doesn't lose himself?
Start
Is
that
it
over
breaking up
because
again?
my phone.
Um, okay, so last question is, and this is particularly for me thinking about my girls in mind. One of them just responded. She said, I feel like space is always a complication in a relationship.
Mhm.
Um, and that is true. So what would you tell a young girl? And I know not all of our girls are viewers, but us as women, we watch out for them. And so we will always be there for them in any space. But
Mhm.
what is some advice that you can give to your younger self or a younger girl listening who is either, in a relationship that may not have this healthy boundary? And yeah.
I think it's the way. First of all, what I've learned is that boys are really scared of girls' tones, and they can't even hear the words that are coming out of our mouth if our tone isn't right. So like, everyone's sensitive whether they want to admit it or not. So I would just suggest to sit down and lovingly, if you really like adore that person, then like talk to them with love and just be like, hey, this has absolutely nothing to do with you, but I grow best alone. I've said those words before. You know what I mean? Like, or today I just want to like be by myself. Like, there are ways to communicate that boys can actually hear us, or anyone can actually hear us. Like, but that's what I've noticed is partners can get a little freaked out if you have an attitude in there. So it's best to communicate before an argument or before someone's offended and just kind of talk like friends. You know, it's like I see it as like a dial, and sometimes the friend and the lover are are like perfectly balanced, but then sometimes you just turn it straight to friend. Like sometimes you turn it straight to brother or sister. You know what I mean? Like um that we have a love that's every single type of relationship in one. So it's nothing to tell my sister or my brother, hey, like, can you get out of my room? You know, but say it with love and maybe they'll understand. And if they don't understand, then maybe there's some other things y'all need to talk
Mhm.
about, you know, but make sure
Right,
that
right.
before the drama, you have that sweet and loving conversation, which I will take my own advice on that.
Well, thank you so much.
Hold on one second. I
That
see
was
something that's actually important. What if you're living with someone and you need a day of no contact in space, girl? Go outside, do what you need to do, but tell them like today living with someone is extremely extremely difficult because you could just be a person that just grows best alone like me or like doesn't do roommates. It's a roommate thing, so you have to take the feelings out of it and be like, look, I'm not the best at this, I'm really good at this, I don't want to offend you, but for me personally, I need my space. And to be honest, when I separate myself, we both end up getting more work done. So sometimes you need to be the leader of your relationship, and that's okay
mm,
too. Don't like just wait around for somebody to do something for you. Just be like, look, I'm gonna take initiative today. I love you so much. I'm gonna see you later. I'm gonna be over here. And you like close the door on the way out, and it should be just fine. Otherwise, that's not your friend, and that's what you need to keep in mind.
do you want to answer this one too? Guys aren't always mature enough to understand. I try and try, but sometimes it never gets across.
And maybe he's not mature enough for a couple of things, and that should be the discussion. I don't know. I feel like if you're not mature enough to let someone have their space, then are you mature enough for a relationship? Because relationships are big deals. Partnerships are like serious things if you're taking it serious. It depends on what y'all are doing. But if you're talking about a serious relationship, then they need to seriously do something different. Because that should be a no-brainer. If someone's offended by that, that there's some work that needs to be done, which is fine, but work on that. It's not he's not being your friend when he's not understanding that, and he's not being his own friend because it's drama for nothing. So pick and choose your battles very wisely. Make good decisions. Think before you react. That's a big thing that I've been learning lately. um, Talk to people with love and without an attitude. It's another thing I've been learning lately. Like when something strikes me, before I just like attack, I need to be mindful of, you know, think ahead a few notches. Like, okay, how is this going to affect this person? How is this going to affect my beautiful day? Like this just happened to me yesterday. Like just having an attitude for no reason really can mess up about an hour of your day for no reason, and then you're just like, dang, where'd my hour go? Now the sun is setting. That's annoying. So yeah, just talk to your people as friends. Is arguing too much not normal or healthy? It is normal and it's not healthy. Um, yeah, I guess let's continue to help people with their relationships, not just today, but like beyond this. If they have questions or something, let's figure out how we can keep checking
Keep
up.
these yeah, for sure. Yeah, and like feel free to like